Hey everybody, today I am bringing you a review on the Inkbed model 6699. It comes with a stool and it is usually right around the $450 to $500 range. I decided to purchase a couple of these for my studio. I want to give you my opinion and a couple modifications that I've made to this chair. And as a reference, I do have the Tatsole Oros chair as well. I got the Elite version a couple of years ago for right around $1,600. It is definitely more than that now. But I'm going to focus on this chair and give you my opinion, pros and cons on what you can get for around $500. Okay, so like most hydraulic beds, it does have the pedal to raise and lower the chair. It does have a locking function, which if you test here, you can see that's locked. It does have a little bit of give there. So not great, but you know, it's $500. You kind of get what you're paying for a little bit. With regards to raising and lifting the leg portion and backrest, it is just a stair-step ladder function where you are able to drop it down, and it uses some springs to keep it in place. It's nice when you lift it up, it just slides back and you drop it down. Unlike the Tatsole chairs, if you've worked with someone that has used one of those, they make a ton of noise when you are lifting the backrest. For example, I'll drop this down and just lifting it up, it just pops out of that rung and you can drop it back down. Now quickly, I'm going to show you the major modification that I've made to this chair. Now, the issue that you run into when you get into the sub $1,000 range with a tattoo chair, you have issues with the chair not wanting to sit at a full 90-degree angle. So you'll get most of them where even on the bottom rung, or the second to the bottom rung, the chair is not at a 90-degree angle, which you really want for working on upper arms. And if you put it in this bottom rung, you can see that it's really not quote-unquote designed for that. It doesn't really slip all the way in. And if you have a client that really bounces on the backrest, it can pop it out and that will cause them to fall back, which is kind of a dangerous scenario. I don't really want to put a client in that position. So I'll show you my fix on how I decided to get around that. Now my solution to keep this safe for the clients when you want them sitting at a 90-degree angle is to in fact use this bottom rung. And I got this piece of metal here and cut it in half. I'll provide pictures and links to everything just so I can have two tabs to keep the whole system from bouncing and causing the client to fall over. It's pretty simple. It's just a screw, a couple washers, this little plate that you can rotate, and some Loctite to keep the system all together. Kind of a easy fix. It would make sense. It would make sense if they did this from the get-go, but again, a $500 chair, so that's an easy modification. I'll go over a couple small complaints with this chair. First things first, the material, you can kind of see got a little bit of like marbling areas where it's not tight. It's a little disappointing. That really just happens when you attach the chair to the metal frame below. You have to do all this yourself. You attach it, screw those bolts in, and when you sit on it, it just kind of pushes the air out. And when you put pressure on the chair to force the top of the hydraulic lift tightly into the frame right there, as you can see, that creates some of that loose vinyl there. So, second thing I have issues with, I am glad it has a headrest that you can lift on, and it has the removable face cradle there. But this guy, you can see him just barely, doesn't really like to hold that in place super well. So if you have a client that is a bit taller and you don't want this hitting him in the shoulders like The Rock. I remember seeing an image, I'll pull this up for you, of The Rock sitting in a Tatsol chair, super uncomfortable because the headrest wasn't lifted. This needs to go up and down for your taller clients. It's nice that it does have it. I just wish that it would hold it a little bit more firmly. You get a little bit more of a solid click in there when that's going up and down. Other than that, I mean, all tables do have a little bit of wobble, and it is kind of hard to show that on camera, but it really comes down to the feet. It does have little plastic inserts at the bottom to keep from messing up your floor, but I would like to see an adjustable screw foot, and I might end up adding that anyways. I'll quickly mention that one thing I have seen on similar chairs, you know, on eBay, for example, or just competitors of Inkbed, this section right here that holds the frame together, it's like this hinge. I'm going to bring this section down to show you. If you happen to get a finger or clothing stuck in between this, it can be a problem. It is potentially a pinch point. You do not want to get your finger accidentally stuck in there. If a client were to, you know, lay down unexpectedly or too quickly before you were ready, that might be an issue. I was just checking to see that it was in fact laid down flat. That is how much space you get, just a couple millimeters. I have seen variations of this where they do have a little bit of a rounded cutout section. I would like to see that on more models of these Inkbed chairs. If you choose to leave these on here, you can perhaps pull one off if you're working on someone's side or ribs. I feel like this is wide enough to feel supported. It doesn't need any additional wings or add-ons like the Tatsol chairs. They have those. They're nice. I do like them, but you have to have a place to store them for sure. So this is definitely a all-in-one compact kind of system, and you can remove those arms if you deem that necessary. But it is cool that they do function with the table laid all the way flat. If someone were to roll, they would kind of bump into this and feel like they're not going to fall on their back onto the floor. And the last thing I'll mention, if you do need to take off the headrest to expose these little grommets that keep the fabric looking a little nicer around these posts, sometimes these can arrive broken. They are just plastic. If you need to remove this headrest here, the way to do that is through this hole right here behind the ladder section right here. You can kind of see that hole right there. I'll pull up a couple pictures to show you. You will just bring down the headrest to a position about like right there, and you can get a Phillips screwdriver through that. I would recommend using a screwdriver with a magnetic tip. That way you don't accidentally lose that screw down inside the chair. If you do, it's not really the end of the world. It just means that the headrest will be able to be removed without removing that screw. So overall, I feel like you're getting a fair amount for $500 if you're willing to do a couple small modifications. I know those Tatsol chairs, they are nice, they work very well, but they are often at least 2 to 3 times the price. So this is very functional. It's got those armrests that do bend with the chair as it goes up and down, and you get this little stool for free, which, you know, it's not bad, but it's definitely not something you want to work on long term. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully you enjoyed my review. If you have comments, questions, feel free to leave them below. I appreciate it. Have a good day.